Hello, my friends. Amberlynn uploaded her Let's Talk number 9, the series where she is insufferable. And this one is titled Keemstar versus Zachary Michael, How Beck Proposed, and Growing Up in Poverty. And if you'll remember, the Beck proposal story that was told by Amberlynn a long time ago was sort of the flap of the butterfly wings, if you will, that led to Beck coming out and telling their story and really exposing Amberlynn for a lot of terrible behavior from their relationship. So I am interested to see what she has to say about it now, because Amber is sort of on a rampage to try to make herself look as good as possible and Beck look as bad as possible. So I guess we'll find out. If you'd like to like and subscribe, that would literally be hectic. I'm not gonna lie.
Hello, welcome to another Let's Talk. I was crying a little bit before this video, so that's why I look the way I do, but I'm okay. So let's just hop right into it with sweet and sour. KCHI Juarez said, they didn't silence you. You embarrassed them with the engagement story. I'd be mad too if I was them. So that
She's calling out this commenter for misgendering Beck. And I think that's why she picked this comment, so that she could kind of claim the moral high ground.
that engagement story was as much theirs as it was mine, and I'm allowed to share that. If you're embarrassed with the way that you proposed, maybe you shouldn't have proposed that way.
If you don't like being called out for being a narcissistic, abusive piece of shit, then maybe you shouldn't have acted that way.
I stand by what I said. It was a weird way to propose. If you guys don't know, Beck proposed on a little vibrator after we hadn't had sex for literally a few years. And they asked me, will you have sex with me for the rest of my life? And I just thought that was kind of insensitive. It didn't feel personal and it just felt off to me. And I have a right to share that. And that's like the only story that
This event happened between the two of you, personally, that was not filmed or anything. So just because it happened to you doesn't then just give you permission to share it with everybody. And at the time, the weird thing is, as far as we know, Beck had not done anything to kind of spur Amber into sharing that story. There had not been any public communication between them. And then all of a sudden, Amber did that so raw segment, just kind of making fun of Beck.
You guys, this is embarrassing, but it's like an actual true situation type deal. It was a tiny pink vibrator with a engagement ring wrapped around it. It was like on it like that. And she looked at me and said, will you have sex with me for the rest of my life? And I said yes.
And it was really uncalled for. So yeah, just because a thing happens to you doesn't mean it's fair game for the public. It was a moment between the two of you that should have remained a moment between the two of you.
Thought that was kind of insensitive. It didn't feel personal and it just felt off to me, and I have a right to share that. And that's like the only story that I've shared, when I have hundreds more, but I choose not to. Ranch?
Yeah, okay. She has so many more stories that she could share, but she chooses not to. So I'm guessing the reason Amber hasn't shared all these stories that she has to tell is because she doesn't have any proof for any of it. Now, when Beck shared their stories, they didn't really need a lot of proof because Beck is not a known pathological liar. Whereas Amber knows that if she comes out and starts telling all these stories, nobody's going to believe her. So yeah, if you don't have proof, sorry. But I do think if she had serious stories and actual like significant things to tell, she would have done it by now. It really frustrates me that she said that happened to me and I have the right to share it. Like, no, it happened to both of you and it was a moment between the two of you. I mean, I guess legally you have the right to share it, but that doesn't make it right.
Girly33 said, Amberlynn, look at all the positivity in the chat. The change is coming. So I don't know. I've only seen the few comments that I screenshotted here, but if there is more positivity, I'm happy to see it. Thank you guys. Sailor Mercury.
There's no change coming because Amberlynn hasn't changed and she never will change. She's getting some positivity, and I'm going to guess that most of those positive comments are coming from people that just don't know who Amberlynn really is and haven't been around long enough to see how she operates, you know?
1990 said, yep, I keep saying, why does VM sound like the same people every damn week? So I'm assuming you're talking about the voice messages. I have not done a single repeat. Every single voice message I have done has been from a different person. Chop suey.
Yeah, you can say that all you want, but that's the point. That's what we're saying is it sounds like the same person. Like there are 2 or 3 voices that we seem to hear over and over and over again. So that's why it's suspicious. So you saying, I have not used the same person at all. Like, I don't believe you.
Louis2716 said, why she keeps saying she had a CT scan. She was too fat years ago and she didn't get it. She's heavier than before, but willy-nilly getting scans now. Well, for one, I'm not heavier now. Two, I'm saying that I got a CT scan because I did. Three, I was only too big for a CT scan one time, and that was during a time when I was in a rural area. Since then, I've gotten multiple CT scans due to my cancer because I was in a bigger city. CT scans have weight limits and they're all different. Large populated places have CT scans that do allow bigger bodies. So I hope this helps. All right, now it is time for sipping.
Overall, I think a lot of bigger cities and bigger hospitals and stuff have gotten bigger CT machines because there are far more obesity issues in America.
What do you consider working on your relationship with food? What have you done to improve it? So I'm just going to list off a few things. I'm no longer like labeling foods good or bad. Yes, I'm fully aware that there are foods that are better for you and I want to nourish myself with those, but labeling certain foods as bad is triggering as hell for me. I'm trying to figure out like...
Okay. Okay. Even though she claims that she's not a health at every size girly pop, this comes from health at every size rhetoric. And you hear it sometimes, from what I understand, in some like ED recovery scenarios and stuff, but it's usually for restrictive EDs. It's usually for people that have to convince themselves that it's okay to eat certain foods. People that they don't eat at all because they're afraid to gain weight. So when they look at foods as bad, they don't want to eat it, you know. But no matter who you are, if you're going to be using these methods, you can't really do it by yourself. You need a professional to kind of help guide you through it. A good example is when she says, in outpatient, I was told to just give into my cravings. Well, give into your cravings means if you're craving an Almond Joy, have a little, like, baby-size Almond Joy, not a king-size Almond Joy, or 5, you know. That's the problem. But Amber just hears give into your cravings and dives right in. And that's all she needs to hear. So she has the language and the rhetoric, but she doesn't really understand what it means, and she doesn't understand how to implement it in her life.
I'm trying to figure out like, what are my emotional triggers? What are my mental triggers? Like, what are my environmental triggers and things like that? And then finding coping mechanisms for those triggers. I'm keeping a food journal. This is building lots of awareness for me.
How do you do that on your own? That's the problem, right? She's like, I'm finding the environmental triggers and I'm learning coping mechanisms. How? Like, are you just making them up? She's just acting like she just knows everything and just can do it on her own. And I know she would claim that it's all of the tools and methods that she learned in outpatient. But I don't think that's really how, like, therapy works. I don't think you go, like, a handful of times and then use the knowledge 5 years later. I think you kind of need to be learning it as you go and have somebody to talk to as you're doing it.
I'm slowing down my eating and I'm trying not to eat so much while watching something because I realize I eat a lot faster while I'm like watching a YouTube video. I'm just trying to be more focused on my food. I am literally discarding the all or nothing approach because that has never worked for me in the past. Because when I do the all or nothing approach, if I make one small, tiny, like quote unquote bad decision.
When has she ever done the all or nothing approach? Every time she starts a diet, every time she starts Weight Watchers or anything, the first thing out of her mouth is, I'm going to allow myself this or that, or I'm not going to be perfect. And I know that if I completely cut myself off from, you know, this type of food, that type of food, I know that I'll fail. So I have to allow XYZ. So she has never done all or nothing. So yeah, the all or nothing approach probably wouldn't work very well for you, but neither has anything else you've ever done because you've tried to do it on your own. She really is delusional.
Or I'm taking away the bad, but in the past, if I would have made that bad decision, I would have just let loose for the full day. But instead, I make that quote unquote bad decision and I just go on. I'm connecting my eating to self-worth. Like so many people tell me, Amberlynn, you're so fat, you don't need to eat for a year. Like, I don't believe that.
Well, yeah, that's sarcasm, right? Nobody believes that you don't need to eat for a year. But, I mean, you can be hungry for a little bit, and that's okay. That's kind of what people mean, is you don't need to do everything in your power to keep yourself from being hungry. It's okay to be hungry sometimes.
Really, truly take away all of this like nonsense, this noise that I only deserve food if I'm skinny. I try not to watch any eating content, and if I do, I make sure they're eating something healthy. Like,
What does she mean she only deserves food if she's skinny? How, if that was the case, when has she ever deserved food? You know? Come on. It's the rhetoric. She's got so much stupid rhetoric.
I try not to watch any eating content, and if I do, I make sure they're eating something healthy. Like, have you guys heard of the Tiffany plate? That's that plate that I eat with all the veggies and the cottage cheese and the chicken sausage. Like, if I was to watch eating content, I make sure to only watch ones that are healthy, because I notice that like the unhealthy lack of nourishing foods does trigger me. I'm trying to pay more.
Why would you watch eating content at all at her size? You don't have to watch eating content, period. Do you know how many times I've ever watched eating content in my entire life other than just to react to her? Zero. I have never watched eating content. So you can just not watch it. That's an option. Of course, she's working on her relationship with eating content, you guys. And the fact that she's treating watching eating content like it's another addiction kind of lends some more credence to the idea that maybe her and Emily are still a thing. Because we know Amberlynn enjoys watching herself eat. So I can imagine she probably gets her rocks off watching other people eat too. And I imagine her and Emily share that kink together.
More attention to my hunger, fullness cues. I feel like the list can literally go on and on and on and on and on, but I'm really working on it.
Again, she's acting like she has some sort of plan or some sort of idea of what to do with those hunger cues or what that even means. But she clearly has no idea what she's talking about.
It's free reign, not free range. Oh my gosh. I don't know why I say free range, but thank you for letting me know.
Just so you know what free range is, when you're talking about like chickens or even like cows or something, farm animals and stuff, and they are kept in a wide open area where they can wander, that's free range. So if you ever heard anybody say it's a free range chicken, that means they're free to just wander around. The opposite of that would be the ones that are cooped up in literal coops, in cages and stuff, and treated terribly and stuff like that. So free range tends to be better. It's because their muscles are allowed to grow a little bit more naturally, and they have a more natural body from wandering around and being like a normal chicken. Whereas the ones in cages and coops are not really allowed to grow naturally, like normally. So that's what free range is. Free reign is where you just are unlimited, basically. You can just kind of do whatever.
I'm probably going to forget, if we're being honest. I'm so worried about my health. At Denny's after the ER, give me that girly pop grand slam. So I don't know if you guys know this, but most restaurants do have healthier options. And that includes Denny's. And again, I got a salad.
Is a salad at Denny's probably healthier than most of the other things on the Denny's menu? Yeah. But does that make it a good option? Not really. It's still a Denny's salad.
Why don't you ever do a low sodium diet? You know what's really funny about this question? When I got my lab results, my sodium was low. My sodium was low. It was in the normal range, but it was low on the normal range. And I'm telling you, I'm probably as shocked as y'all.
So she does eat a lot of takeout that has a lot of sodium, but I think her problem is mostly with sugar rather than salt.
Keemstar cussed you out just like Zach did, but you loved when Keemstar did it. Make it make sense. Keemstar is a troll. He's literally like that towards everyone. Like, if you've watched his live streams, he's like that even towards the people that he loves the most. I'm not saying that he loves me. I'm not saying that we're friends, because we're definitely not. But even me and my closest friends, we call each other hoe, hooker, like bitch, like what's up bitch? Like literally.
Her closest friends, you guys. That's kind of sad that she's like, my friends, we all call each other all these names. They're in Canada. You wouldn't know them. Like, okay, yeah, you just talk about your friends. But I get what she's saying, right? It's all about the intent behind what somebody's saying. It's not necessarily what they're saying. But here's the thing. If you listen to what Keemstar said to her, he was mean. Like, not just like joking. He's being mean. And he sounds pissed off.
Okay, Amberlynn Reed. Amberlynn Reed. I truly appreciate the compliment, but you dumb bitch. We've been talking back and forth on Instagram. You still haven't come on our show. Stupid hoe. I don't like you until you're on the show. Make a Discord, Amberlynn Reed. You obviously know how to send a dono, but you don't know how to make a Discord, bitch. I'm gonna get nasty with it now. I'm sick of playing phone tag with you. I'm sick of playing phone tag with this bitch.
So she takes it as just a light razzing from friends because she still sees herself as sort of a peer of Keemstar because he hasn't done reaction videos about her and hasn't really talked bad about her other than that, because he really hasn't cared much to. And I think if she came on, I think she would be in for a rude awakening. But she has a bone to pick with Zachary Michael. So when they say
that when I take weeks off, all of a sudden, Zachary Michael is going through mental health problems and he can't post. And
First of all, you dumb ass fucking bitch, I have been so fucking nice to you about your mental health problems. I'm sorry. This is where I have been so kind to you, and while you were taking time off for your mental health during the time you were in Wisconsin, I was very fucking supportive of you. I have been going through a breakup. That's not just a coincidence. It is a thing that I've been going through. I have been nothing but kind to your ass about your mental health, and you can shut the up about that. Honestly, truly. I have been nothing but kind to you when it comes to your mental health because I understand what it fucking feels like.
And of course, in response to that, Amberlynn had to play the victim.
I have massive anxiety when it comes to like public speaking in person. So bingo, for instance, when I get a bingo, yelling bingo out loud gives me so much paralyzing anxiety that I literally can't do it. That is a mental illness. Anxiety is a mental illness. That is something that I am suffering with. And he constantly makes fun of that. It's something that I'm embarrassed about. I'm ashamed about. Like, I wish that I could yell bingo like a normal person, because to normal people, it's easy to do. For me, it's super hard. So in a recent vlog, I was like, you guys, I yelled bingo. Like, I'm so proud of myself because like I conquered that anxiety. He made fun of me. He made fun of my mental illness. I'm telling you, he does it frequently.
Oh gosh.
Don't panic. Is that what it says? Just don't panic?
Amber, did you put balls in your mouth today?
I'm gonna be honest. Yes, I did.
Were they yummy?
Give me the phone. Mom, you're being hecticana. Like, it's about the intent. Like, it's way different when it's a joke versus like how Zach did it. Like, that was out of anger. Like, remember, intent matters, just like in most things.
Yeah, they were angry because of what you said. They were responding to you. And Keemstar looked pretty angry too, that he was tired of messing with you and tired of dealing with your bullshit.
How was a guy watching your TikTok at Denny's? So it's not that it was a coincidence that the guy was watching my TikTok at Denny's and I heard him do it in the sense of like, oh, it's a coincidence. Like, he's just sitting there watching my TikTok and then there I am, I pop up. It's the fact that he recognized me first, put the TikTok on, showed his friend, and he was like, no, it really is her. It's not that he was watching it first.
So that's not the way it sounded to me. The way she described it sounded like they were surprised to see her once she made the comment.
Like, I was like, excuse me? I really did ask for an apple. So
You
then
about died.
I was like, oh my God, is it really you? Can I get a photo? And oh my God, is it really you? Can I get a photo?
So when they said, oh my God, is it really you? To me, that sounds like they did not expect to turn around and see her there when she said that. If this story happened, which it didn't, right? It just didn't happen, because she also said he asked for a photo. I'd like to see that photo. But if this story really happened, that is the way it would have happened. That he would have recognized her and showed his friend, and that would make sense. But that's not what she said.
Trust me, this happens a lot where someone will recognize me. They'll be looking, they'll either go to my Instagram or my TikTok, and I'll hear them. My mom will hear them. Like, when I got my other side of my nose pierced, my mom was whispering to me, she's like, those people recognize you. And it was just like a cluster of people. And I didn't even notice. Like, we were in the piercing shop and she was like, watch. And then I caught them like looking and they were like whispering, yeah, it is her. But I was so nervous to get the other side of my nostril pierced that I didn't even notice. But like, this has been happening forever. Like, a lot of the time, like, people do come up to me, but there are a lot of the time that they don't. And then later I'll get a message on Instagram where they're like, oh, I saw you on so-and-so. I was too shy to come up to you. I genuinely think I'm just recognized a lot because there's also a lot of people who cover me. All right, you guys, now it is time for the interview.
So I get what she's saying about being covered so much, because just because somebody recognizes her doesn't necessarily mean they're a fan of hers, right? They could be a hater too. So she has 200 and something thousand subscribers, but you also have to take into account all of the people that watch all the reaction channels too. All right. So let's just be generous here. Okay. And let's say that there are 1 million people who know who Amberlynn Reed is. That is nothing. That is such a small number. If you spread out 1 million people all over the country and even all over her state, the odds of her being recognized as much as she's saying are still really low. Now, I don't doubt that she does get recognized sometimes, but she claims it's every time they go out, basically. And Mama Lynn is playing along with that now.
Yeah, I get recognized a lot. I know a lot of people don't believe it, but I think it's because, like...
Why don't they believe you?
I don't know.
That's weird.
Why is that weird?
Because I can't go anywhere with you without somebody recognizing you.
And also think about how many people in your life do you know that know who Amberlynn Reed is? I would guess most of us, including myself, don't know anybody who knows who she is. So again, all of this is just to say she thinks her following is huge and she thinks everybody in America knows who she is, but that's just not the case. She does not get recognized as much as she's claiming to.
So where do you think the line is between weight being due to genetics versus being due to environmental factors or personal choice and lifestyle?
I don't think there really is a line, because if it is due to genetics, then that's pretty black and white. I know for me, it's due to genetics. My grandma on my dad's side used to be 600 pounds, but then she actually got the weight loss surgery. So I only knew her as a woman who was like 100 and something pounds. She's no longer with us. Like, that woman was my heart and soul. I miss her
So, oh my God, that's another fat acceptance thing, is that it's all genetics. You know, if it's genetics, it is all genetics. And don't get me wrong, genetics definitely plays a part in metabolism and how it may be a little harder, especially if you have certain conditions that are genetic. You might have a harder time losing weight and stuff. But you don't gain weight from air. You don't gain weight from breathing. The only way to gain weight is to eat calories. Genetics can explain being thick and kind of overweight, but once you get to this size, the only thing that explains that is calorie intake.
so much every single day. But I also know that it's environmental because of the things that I went through, all of the trauma. I turned to food. So I have a lot of medical and I have a lot of environmental, just things like working against me. Like when I did the ACE test, I scored 9 out of 10. Now that we're here, I actually...
Real quick before she gets to this test, her trauma is not calories, you know? Like, can trauma make you want to eat your feelings? Sure. I mean, there are definitely emotions involved, but the weight gain doesn't come from the emotions. The weight gain comes from the eating. If you got really emotional and didn't eat, you wouldn't gain weight. So I see what she's saying, right? Like, my trauma makes me want to eat emotionally or whatever, but the emotions themselves are not causing you to gain weight. It's the way you react to them.
Want to share with you guys what 9 I have, because I know so many people are like, what? So these questions are pretty black and white. Like, there's no even having to think of them. It's either it did happen or it didn't. I actually think that these questions might even be too triggering for some people. So I've decided I am not going to share them.
Hi, Amber. So I watched Destiny and Becky's video about you.
Okay.
And something that struck me as odd was the constant blazing everyone was doing for them. I felt that there was not a lot of accountability on Destiny/Becky's end.
Okay.
You know, while I believe Becky may not remember everything clearly, it felt like she kind of began to use that as a crutch to not take accountability or answer difficult questions, like questions about Twinkie.
Okay.
Do you think that the fans were sort of ready to take anything Destiny and Becky said in order to run with it and
I think it's interesting this person is still dead naming Beck.
paint you as the villain? And how do you navigate that? How do you navigate the hate?
Oh, they were willing to hear anything said about me and believe it. Beck doesn't have to take accountability. Destiny doesn't have to take accountability. They will literally believe anything that they say.
Beck already has taken accountability. Beck did a couple of videos where they said, "This is everything that I've done wrong, and I am sorry." Didn't blame it on anything, didn't try to find a scapegoat, just simply said, "These are the things that I'm ashamed of and that I'm sorry for," and then left it at that. And I would like to know what that person thinks Beck and Destiny need to take accountability for exactly, especially in those live streams, because the point of those was just for Beck and Destiny to share their side of the story, to kind of get the information out there and spill the tea on Amber, because people started realizing that Amber was a narcissistic, abusive partner, and she wouldn't shut up about Beck, so this was their opportunity to share their side. And in regards to Twinkie, in one of their videos, Beck actually did address Twinkie and said, "I did not take care of Twinkie as well as I should have." But Twinkie is Amber's dog, right? I mean, Beck was living there, but ultimately, Twinkie is Amber's responsibility.
Beck doesn't remember a lot, and they lied a lot, and they exaggerated a lot. Like, literally, they lied about things that, like, there's proof of in vlogs, but nobody cares because they just want the tea about me. How have I navigated that? Well, I don't really know. I've popped off.
Why don't you find some of those vlogs that there's proof of Beck's lying? She has all the time in the world, and there is a website where you can type in words and it will find those words in YouTube videos. Again, Beck has already taken accountability for a lot of it. So I don't know what she thinks is so vindicating in these vlogs, but I would love to see it.
Like a medium amount, definitely in live streams. But like I'm telling you, I could like pop off at a level that would probably shock a lot of people, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lower myself to that level.
Yeah, Amber is really known for her self-control and her ability to keep her mouth shut, especially about other people. But no, this is what somebody says when they have no comeback. You know, they have nothing to say about somebody. This is the bully on the playground who has been called out and is like, you know what? I could totally beat you up if I wanted to, but I'm just not going to stoop to your level. Okay.
But at the level that I did pop off, it's just like, because it's too much. Like, why lie? Why share personal details? Like,
Wait. Why share personal details? You mean like the proposal story that you shared for no reason, right? There was no point in that other than to make fun of Beck, because you have the right to do that because you were involved too. She is such a hypocrite.
it's a lot. It's overwhelming. Any person on this planet, if they were experiencing what I have been experiencing, they would probably pop off themselves or they would disappear from the internet. Hint, hint. They will stay glazed, and I really just don't care.
Hey, Amberlynn.
You know, it's funny. Amber was so butthurt about everything that Beck was saying and freaking out. I mean, if you were around for some of the videos that Amber was making and some of the live streams she did, it was an epic crash out on Amber's end. And Beck could have made their entire channel, their entire YouTube career about Amber. They could have become a reaction channel and done pretty damn well. They're already getting a ton more views than Amber has in a long time. So I think Amber is jealous that Beck was getting so much more attention and getting so much more love. And I think she's jealous because Beck can take time off YouTube. And Amber wishes she could. So no, I think it's a bunch of sour grapes because Amber is really jealous of kind of how things turned out for Beck.
Me and my girlfriend have watched you for years now and I've loved watching your journey. My question to you is, how do you handle setbacks without getting...
They've watched her journey. A journey has to go somewhere. Amber has not gone anywhere. She is right where she started.
My question to you is, how do you handle setbacks without getting discouraged?
Ooh, I feel like I do get discouraged a lot, but somehow I just pick myself back up.
Hello, I'm doing this while I'm doing my skincare.
How do you handle setbacks without getting discouraged? By complaining about everything all the time. And it's all she does. That's how she handles setbacks without getting discouraged, is just talk about it constantly and play the victim.
My first question is, so we saw you get a Fitbit, and I mean, maybe I just haven't paid close attention, but I don't know where the Fitbit went, because I'm like, that Fitbits aren't cheap. And then also, I felt like you've had an Apple Watch before, and I'm like, where did that go? Why get a Fitbit when you can, use your Apple Watch, I guess? I don't know. And I'm going to send my second question in another thing.
Okay, so they did send me a second question, as they said, but let me answer that real quick. So the Fitbit was broke. Remember when I showed you guys, like, it went through the ringer to get to me? It was broke. Like, the front of the screen cracked.
Broken. I'm going to guess it just didn't fit. And she's embarrassed to say that. So instead of coming on here and being like, hey, this Fitbit that I just bought, I can't fit it around my wrist, she just didn't say anything. And now when she's called out on it, she's like, oh, yeah, that thing, it was broke.
Couldn't even turn on. I was like, is the universe telling me that, like, I don't need a Fitbit?
Obviously, she doesn't need a Fitbit. And how stupid that she thinks the universe needs to tell her that. I mean, she waddles like 15 steps a day. What good does a Fitbit do her?
As for the Apple Watch, oh, she'd been lost. She'd been lost. I don't even think she made it to Oklahoma. All right, let's do the next question.
My second question is, you've cycled through a lot of diets.
Yes.
You'll count calories until it triggers you, then you'll eat intuitively until you gain too much weight and realize you don't have, that control yet, and then you'll try Ozempic till your gallbladder hurts and you...
This sounds very much like a yo-yo dieter, very common, but yes, I do cycle.
Try to do...
I hope that you guys can hear them, by the way.
See, and that's her saying, it's not any different than anybody else, you guys. I'm a yo-yo dieter, just like all the other yo-yo dieters in the world. This just sounds normal, you know? But it's not normal. The way she does it is not normal. Most people don't yo-yo diet and end up 200 pounds heavier a few years later. This is not yo-yo dieting. What she does is sheer absolute delusion and food addiction with every excuse that she can possibly muster to continue her food addiction.
Keto, but then your gallbladder hurts, but it helps your lipedema. So it's just, I don't know. I want to ask, what do you think what's it gonna take? Like, what's gonna work? And if you don't know that, that's okay too.
I don't know yet.
I was just curious because it's like, I mean, I'm not a fan, but I have like I've followed your journey since like 2018. I'm gonna be honest, it is a little maddening.
You're watching it. I'm living it. Like, it is maddening. I literally hate this for the both of us.
She doesn't understand what's maddening about it. It's her. She's the part that's maddening. It's her attitude about it. It's her continued excuses. It is always shifting the blame to somebody or something else and never taking accountability, and then continuing just to do the exact same thing over and over and over again. We're not frustrated because of the diet's not working. We're not frustrated because, oh, the Ozempic was hurting your gallbladder. We're exhausted and frustrated because you keep coming up with these excuses. Even when something works, you give up.
Let me wash my hands real quick.
Okay.
So that's just my main question is, what's it gonna take? And I'm trying not to be rude, but I can come off really blunt, so I apologize for that.
No, you're good.
But yeah, those are my main questions.
Honestly, I think it's me working on my relationship with food, because before I never worried so much about that. It was more so like, ooh, diet culture, ooh, let's lose weight. Now it's like, girl, like, let's work on that relationship with food. That's going to heal the way that you think of food. It's a lot.
Okay, this is from 2014.
I read not that much of it, but it was enough for me to like absorb so much information. Everything just made so much sense. It's a mindful eating program for healing your relationship with food in your body. So
this is 2020.
I'm trying to go like within myself and figure this all out and try to build a healthier relationship with food.
This is 2021.
Mentally and physically, and building a better relationship with food. I can possibly gain years of my life.
So yeah, this is not a new thing.
Okay, so they sent another one, so let's listen.
Also, I was not going to send a third message, but your egg intolerance actually is probably a side effect from your gallbladder, because the egg yolk is really fatty. And when I had my gallbladder, that was a huge trigger for me, was eggs. And I still can't eat them because it reminds me of how sick I used to get when I had a gallbladder. So yeah, fun fact, it's probably because of your gallbladder.
I don't know why I'm laughing, but no, it's not because of my gallbladder. I've actually had it since I was just a wee little girl, and my mom also suffers with the same thing. But thank you for the questions.
Everything is suffering. Her mom suffers from not being able to eat eggs all the time. And again, I think most people would just say, my mom has that too. My mom has the same thing. Most people don't say, we suffer from stuff.
Hi, Amber. I just want to say that you and my sister love you. We always watch you together. But I just have two quick questions to ask. One, what like catchphrase, like I know you said like hectic on one, but like what catchphrase would you put on your like next like merch drop if you're gonna have one? And then also my other question is like, what was like your like favorite diet? Like not like necessarily like how well it worked, but like the one that you enjoyed most. Like what diet did you like enjoy, I guess, the most that you were on? Thank you, Queen. I love you.
I love you.
What stupid questions. I think it said something about her next catchphrase on her merch. And then what diet did she like the most? I'm going to guess intuitive eating was her favorite.
Too. Why am I so giggly? I don't know what's going on. So I don't know what catchphrase I would put on one next. Like, I was making so much merch, but then things happened and I had to stop. There was a lot of catchphrases, a lot of inside jokes. You guys would have literally loved it. I don't know if that's something I'll go back to or not, but right now the subject is a little touchy. But regarding favorite diet, Jenny Craig. Like, I don't know what it is, but definitely favorite.
It doesn't really matter. She claims to be an expert on all of them, but she only knows like the first steps of each one.
Hi, Amber. I'm a huge fan of you and your channel. My question for you is, if you could start your YouTube career from scratch, but keep all your knowledge of how to be a YouTuber, would you do anything differently? Would you change the way you did your journey? Let us know. Love you.
Yes. The answer is yes. Yes, yes, yes. And I love you too.
Hi, Amber.
What though? What are you talking? Yeah, I would do so many things differently. Anyway, moving on. They're wondering what you would do differently, you dingus. How do you not understand how like natural communication works? Like when they say, would you do anything differently? They're wanting like some examples.
Amberlynn.
Okay, listen to the way this person said Amberlynn.
Hi, Amberlynn. Long-time viewer.
To me, this sounds like somebody who's like reading a script. Hi, Amberlynn. Long-time viewer. And just listen to it and pretend like it's somebody reading a script.
Long-time viewer, first-time questioner. I've always wanted to know, when will you ever release any information on your foster journey and what had happened to you during that time? I know that it's a very touchy subject, but it's just something that I've always found interesting because everybody has a different kind of story. Yeah. And even just releasing some information about it would just be something I'd want to hear in a vlog or a Let's Talk video.
So that subject is very touchy for me, for sure. And I think that's the reason why it's hard, because it's like there's so much that happened, obviously. Whether that was before foster care, during, or after, like there's a lot. And I know that there are so many people who are watching me who literally don't believe a word I say. Foster care and the things around it, I do not want any of that to be questioned, because that is the shit that gave me so much fucking trauma. Like that is my real life, true, authentic story. And for that to be like tainted in that way, which bro, like it can't even be more tainted than it already is, because obviously I have a lot of trauma, but it's just like for people to touch it in like a vile way instead of...
Again, I just think she exaggerates. I don't doubt that her childhood wasn't great. The fact that she got taken from her parents is obviously not ideal, but I think she just makes it out to be far worse than it actually was. Because I don't know how you can end up this entitled after growing up the way she kind of claims to. Plus, she's a pathological liar.
Instead of like a way that comes from like concern and gentleness, like, I don't know, it's just hard for me. But I am an open book and I am always open to answering any questions about foster care. It's just hard for me to sit down and make a full-fledged story time. It would probably be 10 hours long. I'd probably forget a lot of things. I'd be editing it back, probably thinking, damn, I should have said that, or I should have, it's just a lot. But I am always willing to answer things.
Hi, Amberlynn. First, I want to say that having your videos playing in the background has gotten me through both my bachelor's degree and now my master's degree.
Oh my gosh, congrats.
I got a balance.
What are you What? Whatever that person says, I do not recommend listening to an Amberlynn Reid video in the background while in school, because it will actively make you dumber. You will get worse grades listening to Amberlynn Reid, guaranteed.
The chaos with some more chaos.
Yes.
So my question is, coming from a place of someone who also grew up in poverty and struggles with the scarcity mindset.
She said,
Also grew up in poverty and struggles with the scarcity mindset.
Yes.
I want to ask, how do you plan on dealing with this in the long term? I know that I feel like once I have money, I need to spend it, or even once I have food, I need to eat it, because I feel like I might never have it again. I still go back to that place in my mind. And, in the context of weight loss, which is also something I have struggled with, I think that the scarcity mindset gets in our way, because
this person is just handing Amber this excuse smorgasbord, right? Like, this is why you spend so much money. This is why you eat so much. What do you think about that? She's going, yes, yep, yes. And in her head, she's going like, oh, hell yeah, this is great. Scarcity. That's going to be my new thing. I'm going to say scarcity a lot now.
In our search for balance, we will create an artificial scarcity that our mind just instinctually wants us to alleviate. And so with that said, do you ever think that you'll get over the scarcity mindset? Is there something that you're doing or can see yourself doing to interrupt these thought patterns? Because...
What? She's never said anything about a scarcity mindset. She has never even hinted that that's a thing in her mind. What is this person talking about? This person is giving her the idea that she has a scarcity mindset. She's not helping.
It can be done, and I know that it can be done by doing some work with making yourself feel more secure in your situation. And yeah, I don't know, this is long, but I hope that this question finds you well. and happy summer. Bye.
Aw, thank you. I literally loved that voicemail. Thank you. Voicemail. That's not a voicemail. Voice message. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I genuinely loved that. I do have that mindset.
Yeah, she loved it because the whole time she's like, yes, this is a great excuse for everything I do.
I noticed it more and more, like more money that I made on YouTube, the more I would spend it. Like I used to buy so much clothes from Torrid because I grew up with none.
I mean, yeah, that's probably part of it, but also you're just super immature.
Like when I lived with my parents, I had like one pair of pants, one sweater. Then I went to a children's shelter where you're sharing clothes with everybody. Like there's like a special closet that you go in and like I had nothing. And then even through foster homes, like I would get a couple outfits.
Okay, how exactly could she share clothes with anybody?
But then I would transfer into a different foster home and then I would lose those clothes. It's like, where the hell did they go? I don't understand. And then when I was living with my parents, it's like one day we wouldn't really have much food. The next day my dad would go out and buy a bunch of like dollar cheeseburgers from McDonald's. And then I would eat it fast and a lot. And like, you know, we got free food from the food bank. That's a random fact. Like it would get delivered to us every Saturday. We had nothing. And now that I have this money, it's like, I catch myself buying too much of something. And a lot of people's like, Amberlynn's a hoarder. It's like, no, I'm not a hoarder. My brain does not work accordingly. And I don't really 100% know how to get out of it. I mean, I will say I have definitely.
See, she loves that this person gave her this excuse to use now. I'm not a hoarder. I have the thing that person said, you know.
Improved. I'm not sitting here buying hordes of clothing anymore. Like I'll buy a few things off of Torrid if they like drop something that's like super cute in my style. I still buy like Legos and stuff because that's my hobby. And literally my head is full of chaos and war and depression and sadness. And the minute I start doing a Lego, all of that just silences. So
yeah, she's not buying so much stuff anymore because she can't. She's not making nearly as much as she used to. It's not necessarily that she's choosing not to spend so much money. She just has less money to spend.
it's like I am trying to spend money on things that actually genuinely I feel like I need or like want instead of like being in that mindset. All right, you guys, now it is time for tea or tail. Amberlynn is dumb for not reading her oracle cards in the right order. So oracle cards are super flexible. If you're doing like a more structured reading, like past, present, future.
Okay. I'm going to have to get some oracle cards and I'm going to have to read her oracle. And I'm going to get some tarot cards. Because here's the thing, the universe has given me consent to do her oracle reading. So it's fine.
Then yeah, you're probably going to want to read left to right, but I don't really do it that way. Like oracle is super intuitive. So I just read them with like the energy and the message that is trying to come through. And sometimes that can be jumping around with the card. Sometimes the middle card is a bridge to the first one and the second one. They're all tied together.
Says who? Where is she getting these rules, right? If somebody contacts her and is like, hey, this is the way it's supposed to be done. And she's like, you know what? I can do it however I want. And it's totally legit. Because she can't ever admit that she's wrong about anything. So instead, she just decides that it works this way too, you guys. Because I've decided it does.
Some way. There's no wrong way of reading oracle as long as the reading and the interpretation feels authentic and meaningful. Amber?
Well, how do you determine that though, right? She just says whatever she wants to say, whatever makes her feel good. So everything she says is going to feel authentic and meaningful. But I still stand by the idea that it's not good for her because of her narcissism and her self-centeredness. And the universe always tells her that what you're doing is great. What you're doing, you're on the right path. Just keep it up. That's not good for her.
Amberlynn only showers and cleans in her vlogs to prove she can. It is so crazy to me, so wild to me, that people are taking like everyday normal moments in someone's life and like creating an agenda behind it. Like literally overanalyzing everything to the last detail. I do a lot of things that I don't vlog. I rarely ever show myself cleaning or showering, and those are things that I do on a day-to-day basis. And then it's like when I do show it, people make some conspiracy about it.
She barely fits in that shower, but the reason this rumor is going around, and always has been, right? This is not a new one. But the reason it's a thing is because you were known to not take showers for a long time. And I have to kind of agree that she mentions the shower or shows herself just getting out of the shower or about to get into the shower or whatever a suspicious number of times. Like she's talking about it so much because it feels like she's trying to convince us that she's taking a shower more than she is.
It's so weird. Here's a little secret for you guys. I do not live life for my vlog. I simply just vlog my life. And sometimes that's going to be me showing you the bland, like the bland of the bland. Like, yo, just showered, how you doing? Like every vlogger that I watch talks about showering, talks about cleaning. But when Amberlynn does it, it's a whole like conspiracy and there's some sort of agenda behind it. And that's just like not the case.
Because there's context, right? Those other vloggers probably haven't been known to not shower for like a year. And that's what you're not understanding. You're not those other vloggers. You have a past. You have a reputation because you have done all of these things that give credence to a lot of these rumors. They don't just come out of nowhere. It happens because of the actions that you have taken in the past.
Cleaning and showering, it's nothing special. Every single person on this planet should be doing that. Amberlynn did the right thing by going to the hospital. I got this so much in my Instagram DMs, and I have to agree with you guys. But I also noticed there was a large fraction of people that were like, bro, like that was so dumb. Like you should not be worried about chest pain. You should not be worried about an elevated D-dimer. Listen, I want to make something very clear, and it's probably obvious. I have really bad health anxiety.
Shut up. Oh my God. If you had health anxiety, you would have done something to lose weight by now. I said from the very beginning that when she had chest pain, going to the hospital was the correct move. 100%. If you have chest pain, don't take a chance. But then I also said, when she got the elevated D-dimer results, she asked the nurse. They said, yeah, we saw that. And I'm guessing, this is just my speculation, I'm guessing that when she was there, she told them that she had just gotten over cellulitis. So when they saw the elevated D-dimer, they were probably like, that makes sense because that would be caused by cellulitis and can also be caused by obesity. There are a lot of reasons you could have an elevated D-dimer. So when Amber saw it, she decided it was more serious than it is. So I do agree that she should have gone to the hospital, but once it was all over, she just kept at it, almost like hunting for some kind of diagnosis, like hoping something is wrong. And because we know Amberlynn, it feels like she hopes something's wrong just so that she can come on and be like, you guys, I have this thing. Everybody feels sorry for me. That's just what it feels like.
It's literally the type of anxiety, like most anxieties, like all anxieties, where you cannot control it. And even being rational during those times is almost impossible. Like while it's happening, you even wonder, am I being rational? Should I be worried about this? Should I have anxiety? Should I be scared? Should I be seen? Like it's just constant in your.
This is another great example of her feeling something that everybody feels and assuming it is some amazing, unique thing to her. Anybody who has chest pain, because here's the thing, I went to the hospital about 6 months ago because I was having chest pain and I was lightheaded. And I was terrified that it was a heart attack or something was going on. But then I kept thinking, well, my arm doesn't hurt and this or that isn't happening. So maybe it's not. And so then I started thinking, I don't know, man. I don't know if I should go because it could just pass. What if I go to sleep and, you know, I wake up in the morning and it's fine? Well, then I laid down and it started kind of getting worse. And I just got really anxious, right? I started getting really scared. And so it started getting worse. And that's just a normal thing. When you start having health issues, and especially when you don't know what it is, you start second guessing yourself. You start thinking like, I don't want to go if I don't need to because, you know, the ER is going to suck. But I went and I found out I have a weird rhythm in my heartbeat. And it's a whole different thing. But anyway, so she's feeling this thing that anybody would feel in that same situation. But she has to say that she has health anxiety, that it's some big thing, you know?
Brain. But after being diagnosed with cancer and after everything that like surrounded that, if there is something health related wrong with me, I want it to be fixed. Like if something is wrong, I need to figure it out. Like a year ago, I was
like obesity,
having like a few symptoms and I was an advocate for myself. And it turns out I had a 6mm kidney stone. I probably still have it because there's nothing you can really do about it because it's literally in my kidney. It's not traveling yet. Sometimes your symptoms are nothing, but sometimes they are something.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about. This kidney stone that is basically insignificant, right? They basically said, I mean, yeah, whatever, it's a kidney stone, you're fine. But she's like, I advocated for myself. And you know, sometimes it turns out to be nothing, but sometimes it turns out to be a kidney stone. It's this need for it to be something serious just so that she can say, see, I have this thing and it's really scary and really dangerous. So I'm really anxious all the time.
I'm not invincible. Scary things can happen. I'd rather care about myself just enough than not care about myself at all. And I'm just not going to be sorry for that.
What does that even mean? I'd rather care about myself just enough? She does care about herself just enough. Just enough to go to the hospital when she has chest pain, but not enough to lose weight and to actually put the work in and get help and do what needs to be done to lose weight. So just enough, I guess that makes sense, you know? And there has never been a point in her life that she didn't care about herself at all.
All right, you guys.
I'm going to skip this because it's gross and I don't want to hear any of it.
Wow, at the beginning of this video, I felt so sad. Like, you guys saw it. Like, I cried before this video. I just have a lot going on, okay? I cannot wait to start my medicine tomorrow. And
remember, she's suffering in silence.
I'm absolutely, without a doubt, suffering in silence.
Now, here's the thing. If you say, I'm suffering in silence, isn't that kind of an oxymoron? I don't know, just a thought. Also, no mention of the hyperthyroidism yet. So that's interesting.
I know it takes like 5 to 6 weeks to start working, but girl, it's going to be in my body. It's going to be doing its thing. It's going to be trying to work, you know? And I just feel really hopeful, you know? Positive changes are a-coming. But anyways, I hope that you guys did enjoy this video, and thank you guys so much for just cheering me up a little bit, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.
Got her. There was so much in this one that was so stupid, but I think my biggest problem with this video is when she said the story of Beck's proposal was a part of my life, so I have the right to share it. When it was a private moment between two people, right? If it was just a thing that happened to her, then yeah, she has the right to share that all she wants. And I guess she does technically have the right to share whatever story she wants, but it's just not in good taste because it was clearly meant to make fun of Beck. And instead of ever taking accountability and being like, you know what? I probably just shouldn't have said anything about the proposal. That was too far, my bad. She can't do that. She has to be like, well, I have the right to share it. It happened to me too. When like there was nothing that happened at that time that caused her to do that. She just all of a sudden decided, I'm gonna make fun of Beck. It's gonna be so funny. And then I'm gonna say that I have lots of other stories that I could share too that are just as embarrassing, but I'm not gonna. Like, what a shithead, you know? She's just horrible. Anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.